I am so excited for my fellow autistics to awaken to their starseed nature. When you stop identifying so much with having a disability and you realize and remember who you are on a soul level, that whole perception and perspective of yourself flips on its head. Let me give you an example. So imagine spending your entire life with a group of people. They look like you. They speak the same language. So you assume you're supposed to be like them. But fitting in is exhausting. You study your tone. You monitor your facial expressions. You rehearse what's appropriate to say and what isn't. You try to decode every conversation where people say one thing but they mean another. And you keep thinking, I must be the problem, until one day something clicks. They're not your peers. They're 15 years old and you are 40, not in literal age, but in developmental stage of consciousness. Think about it. A 40-year-old wouldn't spend their life trying to fit in with teenagers. They would not twist themselves into shapes just to belong. They wouldn't assume they're broken just because they don't like to play the same games or speak the same way. They'd think, I understand where they are, but I'm not going to live from there. Here's an important spiritual truth that is sometimes overlooked. You don't become a starseed by accident. You have to have already graduated through other dimensions of consciousness. But in higher dimensions, communication isn't verbal, it's telepathic. Telepathy is a far more advanced form of communication. There's literally no distortion. There's no way to manipulate. There's no hidden meanings. There's no separation between the thought, the feeling, and the truth. So when a message is transmitted via telepathy, the entire field is shared at once. That makes it impossible to lie, impossible to have a hidden meaning, and it makes it impossible to misunderstand. That's the environment that many autistic souls are coming from. Now imagine landing on Earth, a planet where communication is so fragmented, where people imply instead of say, where your words don't always match your energy, where politeness overrides truth, where your very social survival requires performance. So when autistic people communicate, when they speak directly, when they say exactly what they mean, when they struggle with dishonesty or euphemisms or beating around the bush, they're not lacking social skills. They're communicating as if telepathy were still the standard, while Earth culture expects fragments and filters and masks. That is why masking is so exhausting. This is why lying feels so physically wrong. And that's why truth telling feels like a non negotiable. This is why you feel those subtle energy shifts so deeply. So the pain doesn't come from being autistic. It comes from believing that you're supposed to act as if you haven't already evolved past this level of communication. But when autistic people recognize their old soul starseed nature, something changes. You simply stop trying to fit in to a system that was built for a different stage of consciousness. You stop assuming that you're defective. You stop shrinking your truth just to survive. Instead, you take your rightful place, not above others, but not below either. You're here to remind humanity what unfiltered communication looks like. This understanding is not meant to create any sense of superiority. Awakening to who you are is not the final ending. It's actually the beginning, because once you remember your old soul nature, that's when the real work starts, the healing. And that's when you discover your unique role in the shift happening on Earth. Not by becoming someone else, but by becoming regulated, integrated, and fully yourself. And that's how your truth becomes your service.